Dear Diary, I've had the most curious adventure, and I can't wait to tell you all about it, my dearest and only friend. It all began yesterday. I was uptown after visiting poor Lady Heavybottom, who, as you know, is suffering a horrible touch of the plague, but I digress. I was browsing at the craft emporium, where therein I noticed a flurry of activity around a curious blue package marked with the words Paper Magiclay. Ladies were fighting over it like wild beasts. It was most unsettling. When a small yet serious brawl erupted, I took the opportunity to snatch some for myself and hurried it home. I closed all the curtains and squirreled myself away to the drawing room. What could create such arousal, I thought to myself. What is it? What does it do, pray tell? I removed it from the packaging and began massaging it. It felt rather akin to marshmallow, light and foamy, yet deliciously silky to the touch. In truth, dear diary, I've never felt anything like it, and I doubt I'll feel anything like it ever again. And I have felt a lot of things, as you well know. Stop it! At the advice of the Emporium wenches, Lady Carol and Lady Helen, I smeared the substance into a shallow, soft mould, and carefully peeling it away, I found it produced the most lovely impressions. Feeling adventurous, I then tried it with some larger moulds. But I found that most unappealing, so I returned to favouring shallow moulds, and even embossing folders, would you guess? I quickly became addicted to this process and found I'd developed a small mountain of these dear little delicate trinkets. Once dry, they have the remarkable qualities of paper, dear diary, so light and delightful and pliable, quite unlike the heaviness of, say, resin. But then a quandary fell upon me. They're fun to make, but what does one do with them once made? I decided to experiment by applying some colour, using Lady Finnabar's metallic paints, which are just lovely. Then I embellished the embossed areas with a gold contour liner to give it some pop. It occurred to me I could use this piece as a jewel on a vintage junk journal, so I sacrificed some of my finest lace and made a very simple journal tie. It was quite pretty, but I craved something more ambitious. So I went to the apothecary and fished out some alcohol inks. Things started with promise, but I hadn't quite thought it through. The clay appeared to suck the colour right in and turned it rather matte and gaudy, and like something a small child might gift you, for which you'd have to force deeply feigned gratitude, but in fact found desperately ugly. Then the obvious struck. Clay is porous, you ninny. You should seal it before bombarding it with liquidy things. Oh dear diary, such a shameful rookie error. Having abandoned that terrible idea, another idea emerged. The clay is pliable, so why not try wrapping it around something? It was then, dear diary, that I found myself vacuumed into a portal to a world of unbridled imagination. My hands seemed to operate with minds of their own, expertly fashioning a masterpiece well beyond their natural capacities and inclinations. For 40 days and 40 long nights I toiled feverishly, slave to an unstoppable wave of invention, and I thought, I now know how Galileo felt. I don't know what he did, but I know how he felt. From a humble jar, a receptacle emerged, grungy yet feminine, dark and mysterious yet attractive and compelling. Perhaps Mamma could use it for her lady things, I thought, or Mrs. Heavybottom to contain her leeches. Any rational mind would assume my journey ended here, but the fire still raged within, dear diary, and it would not release me until I had fulfilled my destiny with Magiclay. It was then I had thoughts of my beloved, impure thoughts that would not leave me until I had obeyed them. So, as my beloved gel plate lay before me, vulnerable and naked, I leant in and I whispered to it, "Let's make prints." Together we engaged in what I can only describe as a passionate tango. We produced works, one after another, after another, after another. Works that would have Monet salivating with envy. We even used the subjects of my Magiclay failings, the ugly ones. We procured some great Christmassy prints from them. Perhaps I could make a card for Lady Heavybottom, should her plague spare her until the festive season arrives. Then, dear diary, something suddenly happened to break the spell of the Magiclay. My pantaloons were soggy. After hours of neglect, my bladder made its protest forcibly known. Suddenly, the real world snapped back into focus and I thought to myself, "Oh, Jenny Khan, it's been 7 hours of this nonsense, mate. What are you doing? Go and eat something and go to the toilet, you bloody ninny." Oh, stop it.